Good morning. Welcome to Real Estate Radio Denver, the most informative hour of radio every Saturday right here on News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your host, Tom Souther, and thank you so much for joining us. As you know, Real Estate Radio Denver is dedicated to building Denver's housing market. We're here to give you some great advice, help you with connecting with true experts in the marketplace, whether you're buying a home or selling, maybe need a little refinance advice, dealing with a credit issue. We are here to help. And just give us a call off air. Our number 720-515-1818, 720-515-1818. We will put you together with that right professional. So within every market, there are solutions as well as just fantastic opportunities. You just need some trusted advice, and that's what you'll hear every Saturday right here on News Talk 710 KNUS. And today, we've got a great show for you. We've got a studio full today. It's awesome. I've got three guests with me. Want to just introduce them all quickly. I've got my regular show contributor, Tom Geisen, co-owner, founder of Homestead Title. Tom, welcome to the show again.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tom. Always fun to be here.
What's new with you? And Homestead, anything good going on?
Yeah, I think I told a couple weeks ago.
I always put him on the spot here. He hates it.
I know. I do love that. But actually, I do. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, we added another underwriter, First American, to our repertoire there. And that's great news for us. You know what? They're a big national, well-known underwriter, and that
raises your limits a bit, doesn't it?
You know,
in the market for exceptionally, what I would think, exceptionally large deals.
And that's exactly what it's for. Is my other underwriters, who I love to death, are fabulous. But as we were doing some big commercial deals, they would ask for participation from some of these other larger underwriters, which is okay. But it's nice going out in the commercial marketplace now, where we have First American, who will. I can't say this emphatically, but probably self-insure up to about $100 million. So good to have them on our team, and it was neat for Homestead, to be honest with you. They sought us out, and that's pretty neat. So a lot of good growth with Homestead. Things are going great as usual, and thank you all for your support.
Well, a great local company brought up in the worst of times and doing fantastic. I love telling your story.
Thanks a lot, and thank you for your support.
Absolutely. I also have with me one of my co-loan partners with Citywide Home Loans. I have Bridget McNamara. She's been a somewhat regular on the show. She's been with us a few times. And Bridget, welcome.
Thank you. How are you?
Awesome. We both made the transition over to Citywide Home Loans.
So it's been a little crazy, but life's good. I'm pleased.
Yeah. It's been a lot crazy. Let's not sell it short.
It's been a lot crazy, but Citywide Home Loans, great company. Awesome. Really excited about it.
Yeah, we're both very excited.
Are you enjoying it there?
I am.
I am as well.
Yeah. That's 100%.
That's actually neat. On a side note, I just came from there, from meeting with somebody else, and as you know, I do some business over there, but it's a very good company. I think you're in a great spot.
Yeah,
thanks.
Great place, wonderful support, great product. Just a great team all in all. So I encourage you, give us a call. Let's talk about a refinance. Let's get you ready for that new home purchase or whatever else is on your mind. Call the show, 720-515-1818. Bridget or myself would love to chat and answer any questions you might have about mortgages. Does anybody have questions about mortgages?
You know what? How are rates doing? I've kind of seen, you hear these things. It's like back to historic lows, jumped up a little bit, settled down a little bit. Where are rates?
Yes.
That's about what it is.
Great.
Right?
Yeah,
to all of those questions. It is a constant roller coaster. I don't think we are at the all-time lows that people saw 6 months or so ago, but we're still.
Let's be honest. We really can't complain about the rates we're seeing.
We are at such incredible all-time lows in general. It's virtually free money. FHA and government loans are in the low threes on 30-year rates. Always check your APR, and conventional, mid to high threes. And man, that's. You take the tax implications on that and advantages on home ownership versus renting, and it's virtually free money.
Yeah.
And something's happening in the beginning of June with FHA, right?
Yeah, and let's talk about that for a second. Let's introduce our final guest.
Let's introduce our other friend today.
our fourth friend. We have with us Mike Welk, who is the managing broker of the Parker office for
Correct.
Innovative Real Estate Group. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Mike has been in the business for many, many years, I think 10 plus.
Yep.
And was doing such a great job that they thought, if you can do that, you ought to lead the group, and kicked you upstairs. So that's tremendous.
That it is. It's a great opportunity that I was given to become the managing broker of that office. So.
Fantastic. Well, let's go back to our little announcement on what that change is, because Mike, you've
Mike was
got
asking
some
about it as we were walking in today.
You've got some input on that as well. FHA, which is controlled by HUD, Housing and Urban Development, government-backed mortgages, is changing their rules on how they deal with their mortgage insurance.
Yes.
And over the last couple of years, we've seen their mortgage insurance rates steadily go up, and that has continued. They raised their monthly mortgage insurance rate about a month and a half ago, slightly. And the change that's happening June 1 is that they're making that, instead of 5 years, or when you get to 78% of your purchase price, whichever is longer. So typically make your normal 30-year payment. That mortgage insurance falls off in about 7, 8 years, 9 years maybe. And now they're going to make that change, so it's life of the loan.
And so there's no way to get rid of it?
No way to get
Not unless you want to refinance out into a conventional loan.
That's a big change.
That's a huge change. So if you're out there buying, and you're an FHA borrower, get under contract before June 1st. That's the message, right, Mike?
You have to get under contract?
We have to get what's called an FHA case number before June 1.
And that is definitely a concern from a lot of my buyers right now, and also just a lot of clients that I do have under contract. We're going through some negotiations, whether it be a short sale or whatever else. They're saying, are we going to be able to make the June 1st?
Yeah. You're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver. We're going to come back to this topic in just a second, but I wanted to just give out our phone number again. You can always reach us off air on this topic or any topic. If you'd like to talk to Mike Welk with Innovative Real Estate, I can make that happen. That number is 720-515-1818. 720-515-1818. And we're going to be back after just a minute here, and we'll continue on this discussion and tell you how to make that happen, get that contract before that expires. Come on back. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Denver. I'm your host, Tom Souther, and I have a herd in the studio today with me. I'm going to go through the introductions again. I want everybody to know who we've got and who's talking. I'm Tom. I'm your host, and I have another Tom Geisen, owner, founder of Homestead Title. Tom, welcome back.
Thank you.
And I have Bridget McNamara, loan advisor, Citywide Home Loans. What do you call yourself? What's your card?
I'm a loan officer.
Loan officer. I don't like that title.
Well, what do you want to call me?
Well, it's good for you. It's just not good for me.
Super loan.
Loan princess?
Loan princess.
Loan queen.
It is loan princess Bridget McNamara with Citywide Home Loans. I just don't like that loan officer name for some reason, so I go with mortgage advisor.
That's fine. You can do that.
I guess I could be called anything. Anyway, nobody cares about that. Wow. I also have with me Mike Welk, managing broker with Innovative Real Estate, their office in Parker, but you guys work throughout the metro. You've got a large team. Yeah,
we actually have 3 offices. We have about 90 total agents, creeping up on 100 quite quickly.
Nice.
We have one off 120th in I-25 Pecos area. We have our main office down in Diamond Hill, Spear and I-25 location, and then we have one down south off of Lincoln and I-25. So we have, like I said, we service the entire metro area. We actually our license allows us to go the entire state.
Right.
Do we have geographical competence in some areas? Probably best to refer it out, but we can definitely help you with that as well.
Yeah.
You bet.
And it's this is the Innovative owned by Scott Nordby, right?
Scott and Laura Nordby.
Yeah.
Just celebrated our 10 years.
Yep.
And
fantastic locally owned company. Gotta love that.
Yeah, I've met Scott years back, but really good guy and a really good reputation. I know that.
Solid, yep.
Yeah, good guy. Good for you.
So, Mike, let's go back and let's finish up the conversation on that FHA.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to terrorize the marketplace and scare people into thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to have that property on the contractor in the next
by June 1st, or I might die.
Or the world's going to come to an end. Really the net effect on your loan the difference between May 31st and June 1, the difference in your first payment, Bridget, will be
Zero.
Right.
And
the average, one of you folks said, and I can't remember, what's the average life of a loan?
Well, I think
about
it's what, 4 or 5 years?
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
On average.
I mean, we'd all like to think that we get into those 30-year loans and we stay there forever, but that just never happens. I've not seen it.
And I'm hopeful that where rates are today, these loans stick for a while because, wow, those rates are so incredibly low. But if the average life of a loan is 4 or 5 years, who cares that your mortgage insurance on that particular loan may last forever? Because you're probably either moving up or you're, particularly with FHA buyers who tend to be first-timers, maybe you're moving up.
Right.
Or maybe you're refinancing out, or there's a lot of other reasons that you might get out of that loan before that change that extends that loan mortgage insurance longer would really play into effect, which is 7, 8, 9 years from now.
So to make it simple to understand, right now, in theory, you'll keep mortgage insurance on an FHA loan for about 5 years. This new rule is going to say that you're going to have it for the life of the loan. So just trying to...
Yeah. And I think that 5 years is kind of low. I typically, it's more like 7, 8, 8.5.
In theory, yeah.
If you make the minimum required payment.
So it is not the end of the world.
No, not a big thing, really.
No.
That's why I haven't really even been talking about that change. It's just not that world shattering. Also, the other thing I like to talk about with most of my customers is, man, I will push everybody I can to a 15-year loan. Particularly on the FHA programs,
right,
because the monthly mortgage insurance is significantly lower.
Right.
Significantly. Less than half. So give you real examples on let's say you bought a $200,000 loan, which is, Mike, about average
in this
marketplace. What's the average? 230, 240?
Yeah, it's a little bit higher than that.
Yeah,
So.
But for a first-time home buyer, that's probably typically in that neighborhood. Your mortgage insurance on an FHA loan at that $200,000 loan is going to be about $225, ballpark figure. On a 15-year loan, that mortgage insurance is it's under $100.
Wow.
With the same down payment. Now, granted, the rate's a little lower, payments a little higher overall, but when you factor in that lower mortgage insurance, it's just a world-class deal. So I try to talk to customers about that 15-year deal instead of the 30, particularly now that they've raised the 30-year rates.
Yeah.
What's the most compelling reason why people go FHA? Is it back-end ratios?
It's quite often down payment.
Down payment?
FHA has a lower down payment, and I didn't want to make this a loan show.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, but in theory,
lower down payment,
credit scores,
easier to qualify. Credit scores. The FHA loan is not rate or credit score sensitive as far as what your rate is. So you're going to get a same score with a rate with a 640 score as you would with a 740 score,
right,
or an 800 score.
Right.
So it's a fantastic loan. Once you get past the mortgage insurance is getting a little out of hand on it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
cool.
Anyway, I think we beat that up.
That's
so
good.
let's not
move along.
Let's not be scared of that change, and rumors get out in the marketplace, and I think we've settled that one, and it's not going to be that big of an issue, I think. But if you can get under contract and work with your lender to pull your FHA case number prior to June 1, you're going to be a little bit better shape than if you don't.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mike, what else do we want to throw in about Innovative? I'd love to give you an opportunity to just tell us a little bit about what makes them wonderful.
We believe that there's a different way of doing real estate, and we try to... we actually successfully do add value to our transactions. We don't want to just go in and be just like every other agent that's just concerned about price. And, for sellers, all you want me to do is drop my price. And for home buyers, we just got to make overpriced offers and, just do this death march of looking at houses. Mm-hmm. We want to go away from this feeling of scarcity and go back to saying abundance and finding new ways of finding homes. And whether or not one of the successful ones that we just had was, it's worked quite well for myself and for a couple of my agents in my office, personalized letters. So we go out and we pull from a title company. We get addresses of homes that would be in an area that would fit their criteria. We put up, Mr. and Mrs. Smith would like, and their 2 children would like to go to Saddle Ranch Elementary, and be in this area, and here's the family, and tells a good story. Have you ever thought about selling your house?
Oh, wow.
And sending those letters out, or going door to door and door knocking and talking to people. And that heartfelt piece and more personalized piece is having people trigger into a listing that didn't exist yesterday.
Right.
Yeah, that's just good smart business right there,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah,
So the other thing that we're seeing is...
And it's work, and it takes an agent that's dedicated to having a successful experience for their customer.
Well,
So-
and it also costs money that you're investing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But the time that I'm investing in that piece, working with my client, narrowing down, not really being, that there's no inventory, I make up on the time that I go out spending showing 30 different houses on a Saturday or over a weekend. I'm not doing that. I'm focused, very narrowly focused on finding the right product for my clients for the right value.
So this is definitely not a service that you would get from some of these companies that are advertising ridiculously low commissions. Do you have a thought on that? I mean, I'm seeing some of this now, and people, I mean, you're talking about value, and I think in this market, especially with what's going on, it is crucial to have an agent that's going to be backing you and on your side, and it's not the time to go looking for, who's that company that's going to list the house or only pay a very low commission.
Correct.
And not knowing your realm as well as lending, I'm just
typically, I'm not as concerned about the commissions. The commissions will be there at the end of the day. It's about taking care of the client and adding value. If you all line us up together and we come in one at a time after on a listing appointment for realtor after realtor after realtor, what you're going to find out is if there's no difference, the only difference they can make a decision on is price.
Yeah.
So who's going to charge me less to sell my house? Or who's going to put my house on the market for more money?
Right. Then it sort of becomes that commodity, right?
Right.
Okay.
It doesn't, it tastes like chicken, right? There's no difference between so if we go in and we show you the value, I don't get questioned about what I charge to sell a house.
Right.
Because the value's there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're going through and making sure that the house is deep cleaned. We're going through and doing pre-inspections on major mechanical issues, washing windows, bringing in stagers. Those type of things are just a service that we provide that if it works for your situation, let's do it. And it adds that added value.
And I think that all those activities lead to maximizing what you get in return on your listing.
Correct.
For your sellers.
Well, if you think about it, I'm thinking about my mail. I don't think I've ever received a letter like that you mentioned.
You don't?
You don't see very many people
Nobody
saying,
wants
hey.
to live in your neighborhood, Tom.
What you get is
Good point.
you get the call saying, do you know anyone that wants to buy or sell real estate?
There it is.
Right.
And that's just such an ugly term.
Yeah.
Where's the value at that? Because I'd rather go to an online service and not be bothered and look for houses.
Well, and obviously, what a great time because we're in a market where the inventory is so low, right? So there aren't that many listings, but what a great way to tell me what you care about, right? Where do you want to live? Let's see if we can find someone who has that match, right?
Desired product, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, because I think there's plenty of people out there that have in the back of their head, well, gosh, I wouldn't mind moving or selling or upgrading, and they just don't think they can in this market.
Right.
And
One of my
get that letter...
Or one of my best strategies right now is going back and looking at the expired listings that were...
A year ago?
Or 3 years ago.
Sure.
And say, aren't you glad you didn't sell back then?
Yeah.
Look what you're going to make now. So,
yeah, that's a good point. And obviously a lot of appreciation since that time, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, good. That's great marketing.
It is. Well, we mentioned that inventory. Well, we've got a couple minutes here. Let's not go there yet. Although the inventory issue is, I think, huge, and it's varying throughout the metro area. But I would like to talk about that on the next segment. But we kind of went to buyers being prepared for their homes and that listing discussion on what do you do? What are you advising your customers on those listings?
On the sell side or on the buy side? Mm-hmm. On the sell side,
yep.
Absolutely. You want to make sure that a buyer's coming in. It's just not all based on price. The decision's not based on price. It's based on value. We know that. We know the majority of people come in, they're looking at condition, they're looking at location, they're looking at square footage, lot size, and price is one of them, but doesn't create that value out of the gate. So we want to make sure that we maximize that valuable experience, which means having a stager come in and make sure the house is, making sure you're inspecting major mechanicals. Because then if I walk in and see that you just had the furnace cleaned and certified as a buyer, I'm not going to discount you not thinking, well,
Right.
we may have to worry about the furnace.
And how do you advertise that to the buyer that you've done that?
We actually make copies of receipts, but we also put up feature cards in the house for all of our listings saying new furnace October of 2012.
Oh, so it's all around
New
the
roof,
house, kind of like
right.
what you've seen in some like sort of like
model
new
homes.
build model homes,
Yep.
yeah, where they say, oh, here's a special tech touch or whatever
sheet.
it's going to be.
Yep.
Ah, that's really neat. Good.
Feature cards, because they're out there looking, and it's just eyesight. They walk in, new roof, October 2012, whatever. That's going to show them, and then if we have the receipt that's available for them to look at or take with them, it just reinforces that confidence that they're actually buying something of value.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah, it is a great point, and I think that's a service that doesn't happen a lot. I think many agents, real estate agents, are stepping up their game.
The other thing is, the quality of photos is critical. I mean, you just
Yes.
can't. You either can't put a photo on there. I mean, just not having a photo is horrible because you're not going to maximize your value. Having high digital photography, we have photographers come out and do that for us. And we pay for that. I mean, that's something that's our added value that we're going to add to our clients because we know that it's going to raise the value of the house.
Yeah, we brought a guy on the show, I think, probably been 6-7 months or ago, but about that exact same thing. He owns a company that does the digital photography and all that, and it's about, interview your agent, see what kind of, where their bar is. Is it, great quality or medium, right?
Right.
Yeah, all great points. We're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver here on News Talk 710 KNUS. Come right back after the break. We're going to show you how to get that maximum price for your home. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Denver. I'm here with my cast of characters. I've got a whole show full for you today. We're going to go in reverse order here because we've always started with Tom, and we're going to put Tom at the end. I have Mike Welk with us, managing broker with Innovative Real Estate. Mike, welcome back.
Thank you.
And we're having a great discussion on how to successfully list your property, and I'm excited about that. I have with us Bridget McNamara, another loan advisor from Citywide Home Loans. Almost said that other one.
Oh.
That would have been bad. Welcome back.
Thanks.
And Tom Geisen, owner-founder of Homestead Title. And we were helping you with how do you successfully list that home? What's important? And on the break, we were just talking about some of those issues, and we were talking about photos and how critical important that is. It's off the chart.
It is off the chart, but maybe Mike can talk to us about that.
About the photo business?
About the photo business.
Hey, let me throw out the phone number again because I'd love to put you together with Mike Welk.
If you are thinking about selling your home or even buying a new home.
Yes, or just want some market information, give us a call at 720-515-1818, and that's off air, but you can text, you can leave a voice message, and we will get back to you, get you Mike's contact information, put you guys together. If you need to get pre-qualified for a mortgage, we'd love to do that for you as well. You've got to be prepared in this marketplace. But again, 720-515-1818. Mike, how critical is that photo shoot?
It's very critical. I mean, we do have lacking inventory right now. The inventory levels are low. We have low days on market. It's the typical supply and demand. We have little supply, a high demand. Prices are going up. Days in the market are going down. But if you want to maximize that price and not have, it's easy to go into contract right now. Let's put it that way.
For something.
But
absolutely.
let's get it to closing is a different matter, and let's go through the inspection items and those type of things that people are concerned about. I think if clients knew that it was guaranteed once they went under contract that the closing would happen, we'd feel a lot more comfortable. Well, some of that is that we go in and we prep the house before we put it on the market. Let's look at this and schedule out. Let's get that professional photographer in there. I use Virtuance. They've done very well for me. They're a professional photography company that comes out and does high definition photography. They'll do a spread of how many photos you want. They have all different packages. But part of that is that I want to make sure that the people are getting just the pristine condition of their home and feel like I'm doing the best that I can to get that value that they need.
Right.
So it's prepping the home. Definitely. The other thing that I do is I definitely go preview houses before I put the other one on the market. I want to know what the competition is. I go more by absorption rate than just by how many houses sold. Oh, that one sold for $325, so you must be $325. Let's go compare and do apples to apples comparisons. I'll even take sellers with me to go look at houses.
Sure. I think that's a great idea,
Absolutely.
so that they can see, because obviously they're biased on their own home, right? So it's like let me show you in other people's shoes what they're seeing.
But if you throw a seller in your car and I drive them around and we go look at a couple houses in the neighborhood and saying this is your competition, they come back and say, okay, I agree. I see where you're coming at now with the price.
Yeah, got to step it up or whatnot. Back to your point about Virtuance, Homestead Title, we have a partnership with Virtuance as well. And the partnership really simply is that we just love their product. And so we just talk about it to a lot of people. But I can't emphasize enough how important they're getting 2 times the showings than non HD type photos.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is people are surfing the web at their home, in their living room or their kitchen or wherever. And the houses that are using that type of product that you, by the way, I'm assuming are paying for that, is my guess, right?
I am.
As an agent, which again just goes to show you, that's an investment and why you want to have a qualified realtor.
Yes.
But those houses are getting twice as many showings, and if you're getting twice as many showings, just odds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Better odds to sell your house at a higher price. And I think that's fantastic you're doing that, because a lot of people don't do that.
Right.
I talk to them a lot as a title company all the time, and I hear all the time, oh, well, we have a great photographer, you know what? Or I take my own, I have a great camera.
Or I don't need to spend that because the market's so hot, I don't need to take the photos, and I can just go snap it with my cell phone and call it good.
That's
How
probably,
often does that
number
happen?
one.
Every day.
A lot.
A lot.
I mean, I had, yes.
But that actually is a great point, because I do hear that a lot, and we know things are moving, but that's still a disservice, right?
Absolutely.
You want to be showing this house make it show as well as it can show. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the other piece that we do that's really important for our sellers is that I set them up. We have a program called iSpy for the buyer searches, which, and I can go in a little bit more detail, but it's on our RETS feed, which is almost a immediate reaction off of what goes into our MLS. I also set my sellers up on that for their neighborhood to make sure that they know what's going on in their neighborhood.
Did you call that a REST feed?
RETS.
A RETS feed?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little technology, and we won't go into that. What the definition is. It just means that we are getting a feed quicker from the Denver metro area MetroList MLS system, that we're updating properties within 45 minutes. So
as compared to what would
so like
the normal
Zillow
turn
is,
time be?
Zillow is a syndication, and truly as a syndication, which means they're lagging. There's also an IDX feed, which means it could happen once a day.
Okay.
So there's some different types of feeds that we do. We paid for that extra advantage. Right. And for our buyers, what that does, and I don't want to get off topic here for a second, but for the buyer piece, if an agent goes in and lists, they enter the house into the MLS at 9 o'clock in the morning, my buyers are going to know about it at latest 9:45, and I've already shown the house and looked at it, where the IDX feed won't pick up until the next after midnight.
Oh, it could be gone.
It's gone.
What a competitive edge in this market that we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I didn't know
especially when I'm getting houses that are going on the market that actually aren't even in the showing system yet, because they put them in the MLS and then they go put them in the showing system.
That's how you knew about that house on your street.
And Mike Welk, tell me, how would someone... This iSpy system is available on your website.
Yep.
So point us there.
It's
and how do they do that?
iregroup.com, iregroup.com.
That's correct.
Innovative Real Estate Group, iregroup.com.
And so do they sign up? And
they can just sign up. You can find your agent there. If you don't know of one, you can just sign up with the general search, and it's free. I mean, we're not a hard sell company where we're going to be hitting you, but we are watching that you say, hey, I'm really interested in this house. I'd like to go take a look at it. It's going to email me, send me a text and say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith want to go look at this house this afternoon.
Yeah.
I can get that
and
done.
let them know you heard it here on Real Estate Radio Denver.
That's right.
And if you want to call us, our number is 720-515-1818.
Right.
And we can get you in touch with Mike and Innovative Real Estate if this sounds good to you.
iregroup.com.
But that iSpy search also does really well for sellers, because if we set you up there, then we know what's going on, what's sold, what's going under contract, what's going active in your neighborhood. And that way you're feeling much more informed about the process, that if you are going a little bit further days in the market, you kind of know what's going on with the neighbor's house that just had the sign put in the yard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That sold in 48 hours.
Rather than having the client call me and say, I think the neighbor's house just went up on the market. Can you see what they're offering for it? It doesn't happen. They get that information automatically.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I wanted to go back because all of this builds on something that you kind of slipped into the conversation a little bit ago. And I want to go back there because I think this is a critical point, is all of these things that you're doing for your listing customers, the customers who are selling homes, is to make sure that the offer that they accept is the one that will close.
Correct.
And that is a key piece here, because the close ratio on so many deals is horribly low.
Yep.
And that's the key. You know, it doesn't matter if you get an offer that's $5,000 over someone else's if it isn't going to close.
Right.
So being able to identify issues with the home up front so they're taken care of, or that the buyer is aware of them so they know that they're factoring that into their offer. All of these things that you're doing, the high quality pictures, everything leads back to, I want to accept offers that close.
Right. And I want to have strong offers, and so
Yes.
if I set that up and give the buyer that much more confidence that I'm taking
knowledge
care of
about
this
the
house,
property. Mm-hmm.
and here's everything about the bones, and here's everything about this house that we
Yes.
have available to give you, they're not going to sit there and say, well, we're not quite sure about the furnace. You know, let's knock $5,000 off. Off our offer just so we have something.
Or let's make a ridiculously high offer just to tie up the property, and then we're going to beat you up on price
or inspection items.
in the inspection.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I totally agree. Give the seller as much information, or the buyer as much information as they can, so that offer that comes in is a legitimate offer that should be right on the mark. I think that's huge.
Yeah, and so for my buyers, one of the things, not only is that critical, but one of the things for my buyers is I want to make sure that when I go to put an offer in, I'm calling the agent saying,
Mike, hold that thought, because we got to go. We're going to come back in just a second. You're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver on News Talk 710 KNUS. Come right back. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Denver. I'm your host, Tom Souther, and we are talking about if you're selling your home, how do you get that best offer? Because it's not always the highest bid.
Yeah, because we're in a situation now in Denver where there are multiple offers on every property. So how do you make sure you take the right one?
So what's the right one? So our expert, Mike Welk, managing broker with Innovative Real Estate Group, has got some great insight here. And I think we were talking last segment about...
When we cut him off.
I did cut him off.
Yeah.
All of that prep work that you do with your listing customers that leads up to getting offers,
right,
and maximizing that offer, and maximizing the offers that really close,
right.
And we cut you off in mid-sentence on how important that is, and maybe that selection process in those offers.
Yeah, so absolutely. Like I said, getting the offers today is kind of the easy part. I mean, we can tee it up enough that we're getting multiple offers on properties. So one of the things that I like to do is actually, right now we're at such an electronic age that I think that we just send over the offers and it's contracts with electronic signatures. You know what? I think it's important now that we go and I actually sit down in front of you and present offers like we used to and say, here's the differences. I've called these lenders that they've provided me contact with. These people are really strong financially, even though they're a couple $1,000s less. We have a better chance of getting to closing than if we go with this one that's higher priced, a little bit not as strong of a buyer, not as much as a down payment. Do you want to take that risk?
And these guys send along the picture of their kids that your next door neighbors are going to love you for selling to this family.
Exactly.
And that's got some value as well.
That letter, that introductory letter is fantastic. The ones that aren't so great are the letters talking about how great the agent is. And I think that's always, it's not about me, it's about the client. But tell me, tell the seller about your children and about how you want to be in that neighborhood, or this is the house, or this is the neighborhood that our family grew up in when I was little, whatever else it is. It's that heartstring connection that they need to know that their house is going to be taken care of and that's what they want. But
it's an emotional transaction on all sides. It is,
absolutely.
On all sides. And you can play it into that with the truth.
Yep.
About what your situation is, whether you're buying, selling, or what have you. Find out what the seller wants.
But we're finding that a lot of these offers are they're falling out based on inspection or whatever else. We want to make sure that that's minimized and that risk is reduced, so we can get to closing. So we can schedule the moving vans and we can get people on with their lives and get people into new homes and relocated back to North Carolina, wherever they're doing.
Right.
And that's really important that we focus on a little bit more what that offer's about
versus just, this one's $1,000 more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with the
Because
new
they're getting-
contracts, I know Tom left, but they changed it about title insurance. I mean, what's the
Yes.
importance of title insurance? We go through that and explain that with brochures saying, here's what title insurance are. You have the right to select. What's your protection here?
Yeah.
To make sure everyone's
Right.
on the
What's
same
the quality
page.
of the company? What's the whole picture? Yeah, I totally agree. It's a different world,
Yep.
which I love right now. People think it's highly competitive and you can't be successful, and we see the opposite end of that, where people are successful all the time with great agents,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
and that's what separates in the crowd. I cringe. I've got a couple of customers who have been looking for 6-9 months, and granted, they're semi-serious about it, but they'll never get on a contract,
Right.
because they don't have the agent that's going to push that thing to close.
Mm-hmm.
And it's encouraging to see the amount of work that your company does to put that deal together.
Right.
Even on the seller side, most people think, oh, it's all on the buyer. It's not. You guys have to come together.
There's a lot of decisions,
That's right.
and it may not be just the highest net to the seller is what gets you to closing.
Gets you close. Yeah. Well, let's move over. I think we've spent a lot of time on the sell side. Let's move over and talk a little bit about buyers. We've got another 10 minutes. And what are you telling your buyer customers about how to be successful?
We need to make
this
sure
process.
that if you're serious about buying a home and being competitive, that you better have your team ready to go, and that is your lender.
Mm-hmm.
We better be in contact with them. It's no longer just have your lender send me over a pre-qual for X number of dollars. We need to have a conversation about what does that structure look like.
Mm-hmm.
They're more involved in my business right now on a positive way of making it a successful transaction.
Yeah, I talk to the other side all the
Constantly.
time. Now,
Yeah.
that years ago, that was not the case. I never talked to the agent.
The listing
on the
agent.
listing agent, never.
Yeah.
There was no need. It didn't seem. But at this point, in order for us to make that transaction successful, we both have to do all of our work up front.
Yeah.
I mean, and due diligence so that we can comfortably give you a lender letter. And
Well, especially when we're in multiple offer situations and you
Right.
need to be really strong coming out of the gate, and we're putting in acceleration clauses and all sorts of fancy, tricks of the trade to try to get your offer accepted. But just because we went up that high, do you qualify still?
right,
Or
Right.
Exactly.
rates changed just a little bit last week. Did that just push you
yeah,
Push you out.
and
out?
that's very possible.
And so the other thing that we like to do is you talk about talking to the other agent. For my buyers, I'm always calling the listing agent asking, what is the, wave a magic wand? What does the ideal offer look like to your seller? Because it's not necessarily always the highest price. It could be timing. It could be
Could be time.
terms.
That's
Timing,
right.
sure.
It could be other
Could
things
be we
in that
need
contract.
90 days to find our next place.
Right. And we're seeing more and
yeah.
more of that in the MLS. It will say, selling of this house is contingent of the sellers finding a new home in the next, 30 days.
Yeah. Which is a huge contingency.
It's a reverse contingency to what we were thinking before. We're also seeing cascading closings
But if your buyer can be flexible on that, maybe they're a first time buyer and they're renting and they're in a month to month, and we'll stick here. We want that house. We can stick here for another couple of months if we have to make this deal.
You're going to probably beat out the person that's $5,000 higher that's not going to be willing to.
It's got to have a 30-day close.
That has to have a 30-day close.
Yeah.
It's a process that, we have buyers out there looking. We see a lot of coming soon signs right now. It's a big hot topic right now. For example, there's a couple in my neighborhood.
Talk about that. That's a fairly new thing. I'm seeing that, the coming soon sign.
Let's tell everybody who we are again. You're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver on News Talk 710 KNUS. And I have Mike Welk, the managing broker of Innovative Real Estate, their South office. I think your address is in Parker, but you're really
Lincoln
25 in Lincoln. Yeah. So South Tech Center. And I have Bridget McNamara from Citywide Home Loans.
Yes.
And we're talking about how do you successfully make that buy offer. And again, our phone number is 720-515-1818, 720-515-1818. We'd love to answer your questions. Give us a call, and I'll put you together with Mike. Or we've got a question, we'll throw it on the air next week if you want. We'd love to talk to you. So again, 720-515-1818. But yeah, let's go back. those coming soon signs. That's an interesting phenomenon that everybody's seeing in neighborhoods all over. My neighborhood in
when did that
East
start?
Denver,
It seems like they're
always
everywhere now.
Well, once we know that, again, it's a supply and demand, so we know, and I'm not saying I know what's going on, but I can tell you that, coming soon, if you're trying to get the house ready for the market, I can understand if you need a week to get the carpets cleaned, the windows cleaned, some staging done, those type of photography, those type of things. But, once it says no showings until June 15th, and here it is, the middle of May, something's a little suspicious. Right? So we don't know what quite's going on there, but we have to address this because a lot of times the buyers get frustrated because they're driving down the street and saying,
I want to see that.
I want to see this house. Yeah. Why isn't it not on the market? And so some of the things that we're doing now, I do for my buyers, is that in this situation, if you find something you like, let's write up the offer, make it contingent on seeing the house when it's available, and at least get your offer in place, because you want to make sure that you have a placeholder, because what we see come June 15th is that house goes from coming soon to under contract.
Just under contract
and then
in
you've
15
got
minutes.
Frustrated people.
Right.
How did I miss that house?
How frustrating.
So we got to just work with that. But there's, you just have to be a little bit more creative and put forth, make the offer. Make it contingent on seeing the property, though, in 30 days.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's somewhat about building the buzz and, I wouldn't say artificially increasing demand on that property, but increasing demand on the property so that when it does go under list, that you have a selection of top offers to consider.
So we know that we're seeing a lot more.
On the sell side.
Yeah, we see a lot more of the listing comes on Wednesday, Thursday, and no showings until Saturday morning at 9. And, you're driving over there at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning and find out that you get the call that says it's under contract already. Well, that's because the agents put in the offer on Wednesday when it hit the MLS. Right. We were in Highlands Ranch a couple Saturdays ago, and no showings until 9 o'clock on Saturday. We had our setup at 9 o'clock. There was probably 18 people there to see that house.
Oh, my gosh.
There was 3 of them writing offers in the driveway on iPads.
Oh, my gosh.
One of the things we did is our offer was ready to go. Before we even got there, it was all electronically set up, ready to push the button. We get in there, they say, yep, let's do it. We put on the price they want, hit send, and we're out. But it was, I was joking that
Did you win?
No.
Darn it.
But I was looking to say, can I upgrade my pair of shoes that I wore, because all these shoes were lined up at the front of the house, right? Can I upgrade?
Yeah, I think you can trade up.
Right.
That's great.
The last one out gets the horrible shoes.
But it was perfectly set up to create that
funny.
buyer frenzy, and they definitely overbid that house, because I know where we came in at. Now the question is it going to appraise?
And that's a whole other issue that concern. Maybe we can spend a couple minutes here, because we're seeing that now. I had one last week that didn't appraise for price. It was about $8,000 or $9,000 low. And sometimes that's a strategy on the buy side to overbid and then try to beat it down later. But I think with the way you prepare your homes, you've factored that in a little bit.
I'm not just doing standard comparative market analysis. Right. I'm going more of, scattergrams and seeing what the absorption rate is, and a different way of pricing houses. I also do that on the buy side to say, what are we actually looking at here?
Right.
If we go in and if we offer $330 and it's listed at $310, I know we're not going to get an appraised value out of that. Right. So why go that high?
So you better have a buyer that is well aware that it's not going to appraise for that and has the resources to make up that difference,
they would like
and
to.
et cetera, if they're going to. So as a seller and as a representing the seller, you have to factor that in and looking at what the offers are.
Yeah, we may get some great offers, and we may get one at $330 and we're on at $310, and we scrape off the other 3 that were below that. And now all of a sudden we find out it doesn't appraise, and we go back to those other offers, they could be gone.
And it comes back to will that offer close?
Right. And closing, like I said, going under contract's not the hard part right now. It's getting to the closing table.
Yeah.
Inspection objections and getting to the closing table and being realistic. And if we can minimize that risk and that concern going into the contract, that smooth close for that last 30 to 45 days is a lot easier.
Yeah.
We're not seeing 30-day closes anymore. They're 45.
Yeah, we're experiencing that.
I mean, a lot of that is appraisers. Appraisers are
Appraisals
taking much longer.
Yeah, they're 2 weeks. Almost everybody is 2 weeks. We've seen, just to let everybody know, we've seen about $100 increase in appraisal prices just in the last couple of weeks. So just realize, if you're out there doing this, don't be shocked when your guy comes back and says that appraisal that was $400 a month ago is $500 or $550 now too. So
and they need an extra week to do it.
And they need an extra week to do it because they're that busy.
Yeah.
But that's if you're a buyer is staying in contact with your lender, checking in with them and saying, how are things looking? Do you need anything else from me? I got some additional paychecks. Can I send those over to you?
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure that you're staying on top of your paperwork to make sure that you're ready to go when we do get an offer.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, great show. I've got Mike Welk with me. I want to thank you, Mike Welk, for coming in, representing Innovative Real Estate Group. We're very happy that you could.
If you want to talk to Mike or either Tom or I, give us a call. 720-515-1818, 720-515-1818. You're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver here on News Talk 710 KNUS. Thanks. Come back next week.